Today I would like to talk about Microsoft Fabric, give a formal definition of what it is, identify the main components, the products that are part of Microsoft Fabric, and also define the main use cases that this platform covers. I would like to start with the words of Microsoft's Executive Director Satya Nadella, which he said during the Microsoft Fabric presentation. So the quote, "This is a product that we have worked very, very hard on for several years. It may be the biggest data-related product launch from Microsoft since the launch of SQL Server. It unifies compute and storage. It brings together all the full product capabilities of the analytics stack. And this unification, ultimately, in my opinion, will be the fuel for the next generation of AI applications." So, what is Microsoft Fabric? It's a cloud platform offering comprehensive analytics solutions with a full range of services, including data engineering, data factory, data science, real-time analytics, data warehouse, and databases. Microsoft defines Fabric as an enterprise-level platform that includes all the necessary products for data storage and analysis. So, what components make up Microsoft Fabric and create this platform? Here on the slide, you can see the 7 main products that Microsoft defines as the components of Microsoft Fabric. I'll start on the left and move to the right. Data Factory, Synapse Data Engineering, Synapse Data Science, Synapse Data Warehouse, Real-Time Intelligence, Power BI, and Data Activator. A little below, we see the compute layer, which represents the capabilities related to working directly with data. And the third, this lower row, is actually the storage layer, which is represented here by OneLake. OneLake is essentially built on Data Lake Gen 2 on a storage account. Basically, I think many have worked with it and know what it is. In general, OneLake is built on Data Lake. Well, it's kind of unified, and basically, Fabric uses it as the data storage mechanism. So let's move on. Let's take a closer look at each product that is part of Microsoft Fabric. Let's start with the most familiar one to us, Power BI. It allows you to easily connect to data sources, extract, transform, and visualize data. I think everyone is familiar with it. Next, Data Factory. It provides a mechanism for receiving, preparing, and transforming data from a wide range of sources. Then we have Data Activator. This is an infrastructure that allows you to specify actions that will be triggered when the activator detects certain data. It monitors data in Power BI reports. When the data reaches certain thresholds or meets criteria, it automatically triggers the appropriate actions. Data Activator is a no-code solution. So basically, everything there is done without code. Next, real-time intelligence is such a comprehensive solution for event-driven streaming data scenarios, log data. It allows extracting information, visualizing data, processing data loading, transformation, storage, and analytics in real time. Synapse Data Engineering provides a Spark platform with extensive authoring capabilities, allowing the creation, management, and optimization of infrastructures for collecting, storing, processing, and analyzing large volumes of data. Synapse Data Science allows you to create, deploy, and operate machine learning models from Fabric, and it integrates with Azure Machine Learning. Data scientists can enrich organizational data with predictions, and business analysts can integrate these predictions into their Power BI reports. And lastly, Synapse Data Warehouse. It provides industry-leading SQL performance and scalability. It separates compute from storage, allowing both components to scale independently. Moreover, it natively stores data in the open Delta Lake format. Making a small summary, it can be understood that Microsoft Fabric itself consists of components that can be divided into 2 groups. The first group includes those that are designed to transform, meaning they work directly with data. performing certain operations, transformations, loading and retrieving data. This also includes those that allow insights, meaning data enrichment. That's the first group. The second group is the data storage layer, which is represented by Data Lake, or more precisely, One Lake, as it is now being called. It allows storing data in a special Parquet format, which is native to Apache Spark, a widely used tool for working with big data. Having defined the components of Microsoft Fabric, one can see that Microsoft positions this platform as a rather powerful enterprise-level platform that allows, well, essentially working with data and performing quite serious analytics. Let's move on. So regarding use cases, I've highlighted two such large blocks, let's say, use cases. In fact, many other smaller use cases branch out from these two. First is extraction, transformation, loading, storage. That is everything related to data storage, their transformation if needed, for example. In our case, if we are working with Dataverse, if we need to provide them to someone, it's very easy to export them to One Lake, and a SQL endpoint will be automatically created there, allowing any external users to access these data. The second block is analytics. That is everything related to data analysis, of course, Power BI. It is also mentioned here that it natively allows working with Apache Spark clusters. So in principle, this is big data. If there is a lot of data, all of this is natively supported. You can work with large data sets. Also, data enrichment using AI models is all natively supported as well. It integrates with Azure Machine Learning, so it's in principle quite a powerful tool. We also had such a use case. We were asked to expose data for external users. That is, we were asked to replicate the database, the Dataverse database, so that a person could access SQL and have up-to-date data. Of course, we offered them several options, but they were initially inclined towards a solution involving some kind of replication that would primarily use Azure tools. And in the end, we ended up with Synapse, did an export to Data Lake. Then, since there were certain specific requirements, they asked us to expose not all the information, but only specific information that is only information about clients, about there are contacts of different types, so it was necessary to expose, and others were not needed, so we also used ETL pipelines there. We transformed, processed these data, and stored them in Data Lake. Essentially, it's just a BLOB, meaning all of it is exported to CSV files. And then the CSV files serve as the data source. We took this data lake, and from it, Synapse automatically creates an endpoint, a SQL endpoint. And then you use this SQL to make queries to the data that is in the data lake. So basically, you connect to the SQL database and use SQL. We are quite often asked, is there an integration with Power Platform? Yes, there is an integration with Power Platform, and using the link to Microsoft Fabric, you can quickly export One Lake data from Dataverse. And the result of this is literally like one configurator, which will immediately allow you to export all custom tables, not the system ones that have change tracking enabled. And the result of this export will be the automatic creation of a Lakehouse SQL endpoint and Power BI data set. You can immediately build a report in automatic mode. Fabric will instantly generate a report for you as an example based on the data set that was exported to One Lake. The SQL endpoint and Lakehouse will be immediately available. Well, if you step a little to the side, previously, if, for example, you used Azure Synapse, then in principle, you could do something similar. The only thing is that In order to export to Data Lake, you first needed to create a workspace in Azure Synapse and additionally a storage account. Now, you don't need to do all that. Everything is done automatically, so to speak, in one configurator. What I've already basically said is that after the environment first joins the Fabric workspace, all non-system tables with the change tracking flag set to true will be exported to OneLake. And here it's important to mention a little nuance. The thing is, everything that gets exported to OneLake will affect Dataverse consumption. More precisely, Dataverse database consumption, and this needs to be taken into account. So Microsoft considers that everything we export there essentially counts as database consumption, and all of this will be visible in the Power Platform admin centers under the storage section. Now, a couple of words about the disadvantages. About the advantages. An obvious advantage is that you don't need to manually export data. You don't need to create any pipelines, ETL. You don't need to use a third-party tool to extract the data. That is, all of this is done quite easily with the help of a single configurator. Next, automatically after the tables are exported to OneLake, people can access them. Moreover, the data update process happens automatically. That is, if the data in Dataverse is updated, it is automatically updated for them in OneLake. Also, in principle, tables can be exported from all applications, including those like finance and operations and others. And the last point, you can create Power Apps applications and automations based on data from OneLake. Here, Microsoft emphasizes that by using AI capabilities, we can gather data from various sources, including, for example, if it's an enterprise, some special equipment that might also send data, and we can read data from this equipment, then store all this data in one place, basically in OneLake. AI can process this data, make some predictions, and then we can use these predictions in Power Apps applications. Currently, there is a preview feature that allows us to automatically create a virtual table that will use OneLake as the data source. And this is designed to simplify working with data from OneLake in Power Apps applications. So in Power Apps, you can see the data that is stored in OneLake. This is still a preview feature, a preview option, but over time, it will become generally available and basically you will be able to use it. If you want to integrate Business Central with Dynamics with Power Platform, Business Central, there must be a connector. Naturally, Dataverse has a connector. I can take data from Business Central and push it through Fabric into Dataverse. But here, we have this very first component, Data Factory, which is basically intended for this. It's intended to perform ETL logic, integration. Yes, pretty much, yes. So it's a pretty powerful tool. You can do a lot with data, actually. That's exactly what it's kind of meant for. But really, it's not limited to just Data Factory. We can use Power Automate, definitely. This is a no-code solution. It's like Power Automate, basically, where you say, in such and such system, a website or a request management system, if a new order appears in such and such table, do something in Dataverse. In Dataverse, you can, raise a flag, and then complex logic can work on our side based on that flag. Now, regarding who can work with Fabric, that is, who can handle it, Microsoft naturally is trying to position this for a broader audience. Essentially, connecting an environment, for example, in our case, a Dataverse environment, to Fabric is just a matter of one configuration. Opening the admin center, finding Fabric, and configuring it. Anyone can do this. The question then is, what tasks will follow? If you need to create a pipeline, that's a more specific task. But creating this link itself is, in principle, a simple task. Anyone can do it. If the task is to analyze data, naturally, we're not talking about integration. The task is to analyze big data. So We're saying that a data analyst can go ahead and set this up by reading the documentation. I think they can, because after they create this link, it automatically generates a data set and even generates a report. That is some example report that the data analyst can immediately look at. Actually, this tool is primarily positioned for data analysts and data scientists. I mean, essentially, it's a tool for working with data, for data analysis. So, of course, a business analyst can also work with it. But, as you can see, even by the set of components available here, there's a strong emphasis specifically on data analysis. Therefore, for a developer here, well, of course, there's Data Factory, which allows you to work with data, perform transformations. So there's something for a developer to do here. But generally, this niche is more for data scientists and data analysts. Regarding licensing, well, basically, it requires either some kind of specific Fabric license or Power BI Premium. But Power BI Premium, basically, many people have it, so we can try. I haven't really tried. I tried Synapse Workspace, but I haven't tried Fabric yet. But basically, I think it can all be done since basically the documentation is quite detailed on this topic. What is Microsoft trying to solve with Fabric? Let's look at it from a corporate environment perspective. If your business fully operates in Dataverse, you already have all the necessary tools for data integration and analytics. You can easily copy data from one entity to another using Power Automate or plugins. For analytics, you have built-in dashboards in Power BI. All of this allows you to manage the organization without the need to involve developers. But imagine another situation. You are a corporate business analyst or customer success manager, and your company uses various systems. A financial system based on Offanova, complex SAP or QuickBooks, and maybe you have a website for accepting orders connected to Amazon. All of this means dozens of different systems, and you need to integrate data and perform analytics at the corporate level, not just within Dataverse. This is where Microsoft Fabric comes into play. Fabric offers a solution for integrating dozens or even hundreds of different systems into a single platform. With its help, an analyst or specialist doesn't have to understand each individual system, whether it's SAP or Amazon. Instead, they work with Fabric, which automatically clones data from all sources. Fabric allows you to manipulate data, create configurations, and provide analytics as if you were working in a single system. This is especially important in the era of AI because AI can only analyze the data that is available. If the data is in Excel or CSV files, AI won't be able to use it for analysis. Manually combining all these data sources would be extremely costly. Microsoft aims to create a centralized storage that connects to all developments so that AI can analyze all these cloned and copied data. Fabric becomes a critically important tool in this process, simplifying integration and analytics at the organizational level. Especially, this is useful when we work with Dataverse and Power Platform. For example, if a client asks for integration with another system, we don't necessarily have to ask them to copy everything into Dataverse and write code for it. We can use Fabric to connect their data source to ours at the Fabric level and provide analytics or integration. Fabric allows us to go beyond Dataverse and start working with other systems, building integrations and analytics at the corporate level without the need to delve into each external tool. Yesterday, for instance, we were discussing with a client the need for integration with Business Central, and Fabric would be an excellent solution for this.